On today's show, we have Adam Everall and Jackie Joseph, the co-founders of Equal Playing Field. Thanks so much for joining me for afternoon tea.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Diane, for having us.
So before we continue, can you just tell us a bit about yourselves?
Sure. Maybe I'll start us off. It was back in 2011. I had applied to represent Papua New Guinea at the Asia Youth Summit in India. And sure enough, Adam also applied as well, representing Australia, to attend the Asia Youth Summit. And it was back then that we met. It was just a 5-minute conversation that we both had. And Adam shared with me about how he wanted to come and do some work in PNG. And back then I was doing some work with children at my church. And when we got back home, Adam came back to me and said, let's do something. So he raised up some money and came back here. We both met with a bit of some communities. I recall that we did meet one of our volunteers, who's also our staff as well, in Morata. And we started working off with volunteers in Morata. Ideally, I think personally for myself, being somebody who's educated, having a life that not the average Papua New Guinea would have, has been my passion, and using that, like the experience I have, the education I have to make a change and show other Papua New Guineans out there that despite the unfortunate circumstances that we might have, or we may have, there's still people like us who are able to have not really a privileged life, but something that's there that we have, like an advantage we have, and that we can make use of it. And yeah, that's ideally been something I'm very passionate about. We're all about giving back to the community, and I think that's where it all started for me. And attending that summit in India was that gateway through meeting up and linking up with Adam and starting off what we then called Rugby League Against Violence. And about 3 years back, we changed our name to Equal Playing Field.
Yeah, it was somewhat divine, our meeting back in 2011. But yeah, I was always really passionate to work overseas and in communities to help people, and it just happened to be, I don't know, it was just one of those things where something clicks. We started as a volunteer organisation. We've progressed very fast since 2 people as volunteers, and now we're a fully funded organisation with 10 paid staff and doing a lot of great stuff around NCD and hopefully around PNG very soon. Yeah.
And the Equal Playing Field has quite a unique program, especially in prevention, working with children. Could you tell us a bit about the program?
So, I mean, Equal Playing Field is a violence prevention organisation, what we call primary prevention. We promote gender equality, working with school kids. So we work with grade 7 and grade 8. So we train facilitators, volunteers through our EPF Academy, so really gifted, guided people that we have right now training with us. Amazing young people who are the leaders of their generation. They go into schools with our staff, and they work with kids across 8 weeks, really intensely, across a number of themes around gender equality, around child protection, so where they can go if they're being abused. Lots of things around empathy and styles of communication and what a good relationship is. We also train teachers in those schools, so it's a really comprehensive model, something that we're really proud of. I think we're one of the best, even as a small organisation, small Papua New Guinean organisation, we think we're doing some of the best work in the world. And we're seeing some great stuff with the kids, really activated kids. They're telling us, I mean, we've got 75% of these kids saying that they want to change PNG, that they want to be change makers for promoting gender equality in their community and in their schools. So it's very humbling. I know my team gets to spend every day very excited going out to these schools and seeing these kids. I'm very blessed to have such a powerful team. I think I've got the best team that you can have. They're really very passionate, hard-working people.
Why is it that Equal Playing Field chose to work in that age range, especially like grade 7, grade 8, in terms of like how working with high school kids?
Yeah.
Or why did you choose?
Well, if you look at young people, it's often a very missed age group. There's not a lot of organisations internationally that work with that age group. It's a hard one. It's adolescence, but it's also the hardest period of our life. Well, it feels that way when we're in it. it's a time when we start to form relationships. So boys and girls start to form intimate relationships. So it's a really important time to get to them and say, you know, there's a good way to do it and there's a bad way to do it, and there's a way that we can all be happy. And if you don't do that at that age, you can miss out. You can miss your opportunity, and behaviours can become entrenched. So that's why we work with them at that stage. Yeah.
And could you guys perhaps share some success stories that from the young, from the children that have?
I think one of the biggest one that we had was out at Garrow Primary School. One that it's still a very, I still can remember how it all started. Each school gives us a very unique experience, and with Garrow, every time we enter a new school, I always like to go in and see what the impressions are like at the school. So on day one, we walked into Garrow Primary School, and just from walking in there, I could just see how there was just not much discipline in the kids, how, you know, there wasn't any order or control in the classroom. And that was week one, day one, and I was just thinking, how are my staff going to get through, you know? And week two was the same thing. Dealing with the kids' behaviors was such a struggle. Anyway, fast forward on to week 8, and the kids were coming up to us and telling us just how much they appreciated the program. And we never thought it would end that way, but the kids, as soon as we had done the celebration weekend, we were just driving out the gate, and all the kids just lined up there like saying bye, and you could see some of them were really emotional. Mm-hmm. You could really feel that they really appreciated the time that they had spent with us, and the different things that they learned. And yeah, that was just an amazing experience, and I don't think so you could ever get that anywhere, being exposed to kids in that way and just seeing them appreciate what they have learned. Yeah, very humbling experience, especially for me and my staff, just to see kids like that, starting off not on a very good note, but ending it off like that. And I think for our staff, it was just well worth it from day one up until week 8.
A lot of transformation in every school we go to, which is amazing. But some of the other things that we see is that, you know, we have some kids reporting some pretty serious stuff that we assist them through. But some unexpected outcomes are that some girls have taken their mothers to the Family Support Centre, for example. So these kids are starting to identify violence and abuse and working out where they can go for help, and they're actually taking their mothers, which is fantastic. So a lot of massive growth in knowledge in this space, feeling empowered and transformed, and a lot of really great outcomes coming through. So we're really excited to expand and do some more work in PNG.
So how can people get involved with Equal Playing Field if they're interested in volunteering or supporting in any way?
So we have a 6-monthly recruitment that we run for volunteers. So at this stage, we've just recruited 20 amazing, energetic volunteers who are now today going to complete our volunteers training. But in the next 6 months, we also have another call for applications that come out for volunteers who want to volunteer with us. Our engagement period is for about 6 months. So if that's something you would like to do, in the next 6 months, we'll be running another call for volunteers again. And yeah, chance for you to get involved.
Do you have a Facebook page or web address?
Yes, we do. We've got a Facebook page called Equal Playing Field. And like us on Facebook, follow us and see all our activities. And you'll also find a chance to get involved with us through following our page as well.
Great. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks so much for joining me for Afternoon Tea.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Sorry.